Hey y'all, welcome back to the ranch. I'm Jared Paul, and today we're going to get to pruning my money tree. This money tree is actually a clump style money tree with 5 different trees all wrapped together. It has grown extremely well on the side that's been facing the window because we get the eastern sunrise, so they get early day sun, really great, large windows, and so it's kind of getting a little lopsided. So I wanted to do less of a pruning and more of a defoliation today, and then I'm going to turn this money tree clump style around to face the other direction, so I could get some, even growth and energy to all 5 of the trunks. So let's take a look at this money tree before we get to pruning it down. So here it is. Typically, it's in this nice big window, front and center, and the sun rises, boom, in the east, and it'll come up overhead. So early part of the day is glorious for this tree. So we got a nice little setup. Now this was a gift from a friend around Christmas time last year. Yeah, because it was the day that I proposed to Laura. So I think that was December 5th. And it had this little cliche hard stones in there, and then this shiny one up front, and then maybe like a little peat moss mixture, which aesthetically pleasing, would be a nice office plant. But my goal is to phase it into a totally kick-ass bonsai tree. So as you see, I have, in the original video, they were in a different configuration and all tied together. So I untied them and I tried to make it as pleasing a, sightline as possible. So technically this is the front. And this tree bothers me because it's straight up. So we might get to working on weaving that in if we can today. That's probably the only tree that I don't enjoy its trunk line. The other ones all seem to have a nice little go up at a slight diagonal and then swoop around. And I like that. Definitely we've gotten some thickness to the base of the trunks. So the roots have probably taken well. Because I believe when you get these at the store, they're usually from cuttings, and they don't care how well established they are before they sell them. So this year my goal has been just to pretty much let it grow, be healthy, and then each time I come to defoliate or prune it, to try to improve this clump more and more so that it's more like a homegrown tree. This is one of my few trees that you'll see that's not grown from seed. I'm really big on starting from seed, but I'm also not going to be rude and turn down a totally kick-ass present like this. So you see this front, the leaves are big and beautiful and shiny and jumping out at you. And then we go to the part that was facing the living room, and they're kind of, shorter, a lot less energy, and much smaller leaves. Still shiny and healthy, so I know it's getting enough water. And if you can see those little pellets, that is Vigoro time release pellet. It said it was for outdoor trees, but whatever. I put it on all my indoor trees, and they have seemed to love it this past month. So let's take a look at that structure a little more closely and get to pruning it down, defoliating. So that's what's coming up on today's episode of Jarhead Bonsai. All right, y'all. So let's take a closer look at this money tree clump style. As you can tell, these ones are way higher than the rest. So we'll probably start with pruning those off. I really like to develop some lower branching going on. Pretty much it's just a single trunk coming up, and then maybe I have a couple of divides on each tree. Some of them are even just single, and they have just multiple leaves coming off that single trunk. So that's definitely my goal for this coming year, is to get some branching going on. The overall canopy in this shape, I think, is ideal. It's really perfect for this height of the trunks and the width of the pot, the whole 9. So that's where I will continue to grow it back to, and each time it gets there, that's when I'll defoliate, prune it back, and take a look at the structure. I probably won't take a look at the root structure until early spring, maybe even late summer, as this is an indoor tree year-round here in Northwest Connecticut, so you don't necessarily have to follow the seasons exactly where you would with trees that are outdoor year-round, or outdoor half the year, indoor the other half. So while we are waiting for all of our trees early spring to be able to be pruned and repotted and all the fun stuff, I figured why not take a look at some of my tropical trees that are indoors that have some long overdue pruning necessary. So without further ado, I'm just going to start removing some of these larger leaves. So, like with most defoliations or prunings, it looks ideal right now from one side, and it's going to look totally terrible without any leaves on it for a little bit of time. But like my broski Nigel Saunders says in the Bonsai Zone, you're pruning for the future. You know, you're doing these techniques for the future. It's not always about right now. You know, leaving it the way it is, it just wouldn't ever develop any character or any bonsai style the way I would want it. Okay, take a couple more off. We'll take a look-ski. A boom and a boom. All right. So if this is our front, really, this guy coming straight up is no bueno. Is there a way that I could wrap it into the middle? See. You know what? I'm gonna wait to do that until I actually fully defoliate here. Yeah, so definitely when I put it back in the window this time, I'm gonna put the rear facing outside and see if we can't even out, the growth. Right, I'm leaving like a ½ inch to an inch of the branch before I cut it off, the little end of the leaf, because right at the crotch of that is usually a new bud coming in. You don't want to get so close that you mess with that. And, they'll look funky for a short amount of time, and then after 2-3 weeks, you'll see them start to get like a yellow hue, and you can just go by and tap them with your finger, and they'll fall off without damaging the tree at all. So if you probably aren't having company, because who can right now with COVID, but if you were having company over and your trees are a talking piece, you wouldn't want to do this before everyone came over, because anyone who doesn't know bonsai would be like, wow, that guy has no friggin' clue what he's doing. You see how ugly that tree was? But anyways, those of us that do the bonsai, we know. Probably your trees probably only look their best 1-2 months out of the year. The rest of the time, it's like, you're working towards the future. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, and then a few tiny ones already starting, leaves coming out. And I'm just going to leave so that I don't take all the energy that the tree can bring in out of it. And they're not really obstructing our view. So now I think we can mess with this one trunk here in the front. So I'll try to do it facing y'all. What I'm thinking is if I could get this one into the middle, so to speak, and towards the back of the planting, then it won't distract the eye and you won't just catch this one nasty straight up tree. And if it gets branching up top, it'll add to the look of this little clump style. Otherwise, upon repotting and root pruning, I would probably move this thing from the front to the rear, or change where the front is altogether. Okay. Try to do this without disrupting any of the new growth up top. Good. Okay, let's get you in here. It's almost like you're using one tree to brace another tree. into place. Let's see how that looks. Nope, now it's just totally up front still. Ugh. That one's just fugly. Do you think we want to prune down here? See if we can't get some lower branching. It is in the front, so having a shorter one up front wouldn't necessarily be the worst thing. I mean, it's pretty terrible, so honestly, like, if we could fix it and get it to get some character down low, I'd be happy, but if it dies, I wouldn't mind just pulling that bad boy out. You know what? I say we go for the excitement and we do that low prune. Yeah. Yep, let's do it. So I'm thinking the other trees have character that pretty much all is right around this area, this height. So I'm going to do the same thing here. There seems to be little bumps down here where I think we could get some back budding too. So I'll leave about a ½ inch between that and where I'm pruning. Boom. So I'll probably throw this in some water and see if we can't get it to root as a cutting, and then I could have a nice little specimen money tree, because this is my only money tree. I have some rooting hormone powder. That's probably how that changed things, huh? So we still have that straight guy right in the front, but I really think, you know what's going to happen is I'm just going to change the front of this cluster and what it is. So I'll end up probably making this more of the front, and then this guy that we just pruned, if I could get some branching to come out, it'll just, you know, add to the canopy and the intricacy of the branches. All right. The tree's probably not too happy with me. Let me take a look at it. Yep, that's fine. It looks like we got some nice strong growth. These have really thickened up, and pretty much the majority of that's new growth. I mean, it's been about a year since I've had it. So let's do it. Let's bring it down a little more. This one right here, it's just got a straight shot going across and then up the middle. I don't know how much I like that. I kind of like it coming across in the middle. Yeah, that's fine. Or do I? Do I like that? Have it come out the back and be in the middle. Okay, that's cooler. But still, let's bring it down. So we'll come down to here with that one. I'm going to try to root all these. Some of the trees and plants that I have a ton of, I just don't even, like jades and things like that, I don't mess with rooting anymore. But it would be fun to have a bunch of money trees. So this one's coming over this way. Oh, this is a nice little divide here. So this is probably my most successful tree of the clump. Comes up, has a nice sway, and then it divides. Boom, boom. So let's see if we can get it to divide again. We'll come just a little lower than that other one, which is going to be our apex. All right. I like this one out to the side. That's pretty cool. It looks like we're getting a lot more growth on this branch, so I don't want to mess with that. Maybe we'll get some back branch right now, maybe we won't, but I don't want to take all the energy out. Ooh, right down here we're looking like we're getting a branch started, and so that'll be cool. So yeah, I think that's how we're going to leave it for today. So with a goal to most likely make this the front, and we're going to face this side actually to the sun. I think that's it's got a good start on transforming a basic nursery clump into a really nice bonsai with a beautiful canopy and a nice intricate branching system. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Jarhead Bonsai, y'all. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And if you have any questions or comments on the money tree, please leave them below. I love interacting with y'all. And we got Liverpool playing today, so I hope everybody enjoys their day, enjoys their New Year's, and cheers, y'all.